fairly soft and nice and bright. I don't know if you can see that. Hey guys, today I'm out exploring for minerals to make pottery paint out of. I'm here at the ghost towns of old Mowry, Arizona, which dates back to the 1800s. And there was a mine here and there was a smelter, and the mine has been filled in to keep people out, but a lot of the ground is covered with the old tailings and the remnants of the smelter, and there's just minerals all over the place from all of the decades of mining that took place here. So we're going to look for some minerals, and I'll talk to you about how to make those into paint for your pottery. So let's get started. When it comes to traditional Southwest pottery paints, there are three basic colors you're looking for. Almost all painted pottery comes in some variant of those three, but those are white, black, and red. The white is almost always a white clay slip, and so we're not going to be talking about that today because I'm specifically talking about mineral paints. So what we're going to focus on here is the black and the red paint. Now, red is usually achieved through iron oxide. So what we call hematite here in the field, iron ore, that is soft enough to grind up and make paint. That's pretty easy, and it's pretty ubiquitous no matter where you go, even in the world, but specifically wherever you go in the Southwest, iron hematite is fairly common. You're looking for iron hematite that is soft enough that you can grind it and is bright enough that it makes a nice red paint. Black can be made out of a few different things. So there's a glazed black that's made using lead. And that's a little complicated. I've never quite gotten that figured out. So the more common black paints are made with copper carbonate, so like blues, greens, like azurite, malachite, chrysocolla, cuprite, copper carbonate, and that makes like a black to a dark gray paint. Manganese dioxide, which is a nice black color, and that makes a good black paint, but can sometimes range a little towards brown. And sometimes it's a combination of those two. Sometimes it's a mixture of that manganese dioxide and copper carbonate. So today, while we're up here in Mowry, we're going to be looking for manganese dioxide and iron oxide. We're looking for fairly pure examples of hematite and manganese, and that they're soft enough. And that's the key, because a lot of them up in this area are pretty hard. So we want them soft enough that they're easily ground into paint. Somewhere in this area is where the old entrance to the mine used to be. They came up here in the 90s and blasted it all out and filled it in so that you can't get in because people were going down in there to collect minerals, and it's very unsafe. If you decide to come out and explore old mines, stay away from the workings, from the actual mines, the pits, the shafts, because they are very dangerous. Just explore the tailing piles is the best place to find minerals. And also be aware that these rocky areas like this are a great place to find rattlesnakes. So you need to be very aware and keep your eyes open to safety when you're out here. Now, I'm just in the middle of the road here. This isn't even a tailing pile or next to the mine. Well, I mean, it's near the mine. But it's just the middle of the road, literally. So it goes to show you don't have to be someplace dangerous near the mines to find good minerals. When they're mining stuff, they're hauling it in trucks, they're dropping it places, they're making piles in different places. So usually even, as in this case, many decades after this mine's been closed, there's a lot of good minerals to find. Here's a good example of some manganese. It's nice and black. Hopefully you can see that. I can scratch it with my rock hammer and get a good black streak on my thumb off of that. So it's fairly soft. It powders up real easy, and it looks really black. It's kind of got some crystals on it. I don't know if you can see the sparkly part on there. This one here, look at that. It's almost pure manganese. Now it's got some of these kind of orangish brown spots in it where there's probably some iron involved. But what I've found with manganese from the Mowry area is it tends to be a little on the brownish black side. So I think there's a little iron in all of it here. That's just what you have to accept because manganese isn't as common as iron oxide. So sometimes when you find a good place to get manganese, you take what you can get. And it's fairly soft again. I'm able to break into it really easy. It makes a nice black smudge on my thumb. So soft and black, that's what we're looking for. Now if you find pure manganese, sometimes it'll have an almost a bluish kind of metallic sheen to it. And that's when you're getting into the really pure stuff. I'm not seeing any of that here to show you. This definitely has that kind of metallic sheen to it. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up or not, but there is sort of a metallic sheen to the black on that rock. Now let's talk about hematite, because there's hematite here as well. Now the hematite here in the Mowry area is not the kind that's going to jump out at you as being really bright red. As you can see, it's almost kind of a maroon color, but it can be quite soft. Do you see the scratch I made on that? See the color? It's quite a bit brighter once it's ground up. It's smudging onto my finger like a pastel. Really nice and bright actually once it's ground. So that's what you're looking for. And the funny thing with hematite is it's different wherever you go. Some hematite is almost black, but it'll still scratch red. And it comes in all different hardnesses. Some hematite is very hard, and some hematite is very soft. So you have to look around till you find a good source. Do you see the scratch on that one? Nice and bright, even though the rock itself is almost maroon. Very dark colored. These are the kind of structures here that they put in place to keep idiots from trying to go down the mines. It allows bats to live in the mine, freely come and go. Any animals, like maybe a ringtail or something that might want to live down there, but keeps idiot people from getting hurt. And so we saw the one where they filled it all in with dirt, which is one way of dealing with it. And then these kind of structures are another way of dealing with these mines, making them safer for people. There's actually a lot of iron on this slope here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's quite a bit redder than the last place we were. And this is actually a tailing pile. There's a mine uphill. They would have piled the ore here and then carried it off somewhere else. And this is fairly red here. I can scratch it. It's a little bit harder than I'd like, but it's a nice bright red color on that. So I'm going to grab that one. There's actually quite a bit of manganese here too, but I think I've got enough manganese to take home and do what I need to do with. But you can see there's a fair amount of it here, but it's really red in here. I just have to find the softer bits and the brighter ones. This huge man-made flat is made out of smelter slag. They had a smelter up here where they were taking this ore and refining it. And this was not fueled by coal. There were no railroad tracks into here. This was most likely, all of this rock was melted by cutting firewood. Imagine that. Huge undertaking of human effort to go out into these woods, chop firewood, bring it back, probably by mule, burn it in order to refine metal. Incredible. You just look at the size of that flat. If you just look at how much slag there is there, that is a lot of fuel. Okay, just want to show you some of the ore I got. I got this really nice piece of manganese. Looks really pure. Got kind of that bubbly, almost cave formation look about it. So that's real interesting. Got some of that almost bluish color, like pure manganese looking material in it too. So I'm excited about that. I got a lot of this really nice, soft hematite that kind of almost has a metallic sheen to it. I think that's going to work out really good. I got a whole sack full of material here, all different sorts of hematite and manganese nodules. Some of them harder than others. This one has a little bit of yellow on it. So it'd be fun to take these back to my studio and see, what I can do out of them. Like I said, minerals go a long way. So a little bit of minerals, just a handful of minerals may be enough to last you for years. pottery because once you grind it up and add other things to it, and then you're painting it on super thin, you'll be surprised how far it goes. So I'll go back to the studio and I'll show you how that works out. One more note of caution about old mines. I already talked about not going in the mines, how dangerous that is. But a lot of the materials on tailing piles, and especially around smelters like this, have arsenic and other minerals in them that you don't want to ingest. The same goes for like manganese. You really don't want to ingest that. It can be poisonous. So when you're out collecting them, that's fine. Try not to put your hands in your mouth. Don't go back to the car and eat a candy bar without washing your hands. You want to make sure you wash your hands, get any of that junk off of there before you eat, or, get something out of your eye, or pick your nose, whatever you're going to do. Just, you don't want to put arsenic and manganese and other heavy metals into your body if you can help it. So be smart when you're out here. Okay, so I'm back at home. I've got my minerals I collected out in Mowry. And I just wanted to really quickly touch on how to take these minerals and turn them into paint that you can use. So I've got a stone here. This is a piece of slate that I use for a palette. And you can use almost anything, but it needs to have a bit of a coarse texture. And the best way to just quickly turn minerals into paint is, if it's soft enough, you can just rub it on the slate. And I'm not even applying that much pressure here. And you can see it's turning into a nice, brilliant red. We've got some black around it because I've used this for manganese in the past. If I really wanted to make paint today, I would have washed off the palette. But I'm just illustrating how to do it. You can see the rock is soft enough that it's rubbing off rather easily. And so that's why we want the softest possible rocks, because it turns quickly into paint. Okay, so if I just added water to this red and painted it on a pot, it wouldn't stay. There'd be nothing to bind it, to make it attach to the clay wall, and there'd be nothing to make it turn hard in the firing. So there's a couple things we have to do. First of all, we need to add a little bit of clay, and that's why I keep this clay around. This is finely levigated clay, so I've gone through a process that's similar to like making terra siglata. I've refined it so that it's pure clay, and then I've ground it into a thin powder. And I can add just a little bit of clay to this red iron oxide, and that will not only make it stickier, so it sticks to the pot better, doesn't wipe off so easily, but it will also make sure that in the firing it turns hard and stays on the pot. So about 15 to 20% clay is what you want. You get too much clay in there, you start changing the color of your paint. You get too little clay and you'll find it wipes off with a little bit of pressure. The other thing you might want is a organic binder. And a vegetal organic binder is just something that is going to make it stick to the pot better when it's wet. So when I'm handling a pot and I'm painting it, I may be handling areas that I've already painted, and those areas I don't want to smudge or wipe off the paint that I've already put on. So I want it to be pretty hard. Adding a little bit of organic binder is going to make it a little bit harder sticking to the pot. Now this is going to burn out in the firing, but it's going to make it more resilient before the firing. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to add viscosity to your paint so that it flows off the brush correctly, so it sticks to the bristles really good. So an organic binder. This is made out of sunflower, and I showed how to make this in my video on organic paint. And I will put the link to that right up here for you. And it's just boiled down plant matter. The other thing that I've used for organic binder in clay, or in paint, is tree sap. This is mesquite sap. And so sometimes it'll form these amber nodules of sap. And you can just crush up a small amount of this in your paint, and that makes it stick and bind to the outside of the pot. So the ingredients for mineral paint are, of course, your minerals, either red iron oxide, manganese dioxide, copper carbonate, occasionally lead. Be careful with these things. They're all potentially poisonous. You don't want to breathe them. And then about, say, 20% clay and optional organic binder. Mix it up, get a little water on it, paint it right on your pot. For safety's sake, if you are going to grind it and process it like this, which is not the same as when I rubbed it on the palette, Rubbing the mineral on the palate is a safe way to do it because you can process it damp. You can get a little water in there when you're rubbing it, and that keeps any particles of the mineral from getting in the air and breathing them in. Some of these minerals are not good to breathe, specifically the manganese and of course the lead are not good to breathe in, but none of them are really good to get inside of your body. So if you process them wet, there's no danger of breathing them in. If, however, you're trying to process a whole jar of it like I did here, and you're actually grinding it in a dry manner, then it is getting in the air. You need to have good respirator, something that's industrial grade, to make sure you're not breathing in any of that, because it can wipe the slate clean on your brain. My suggestion is to process it with a little bit of water on a pallet, and you have no minerals getting in the air. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up so I know you liked it, and I'll make more videos like this. If you're enjoying my channel, subscribe to it, and then you'll know when my next video comes out. So that does it for this time. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.